Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Tuesday. It's November 7th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And really, we had a pretty nice downtrend here, but in the big scheme, this is a range day. And if you just measured this first tier and looked for a measured move, that gives you here. We overshot that some, but that would have given you a nice target on that first bounce there if you caught these moving down. Um, and notice we got a channel here, we get a break here, moved to a new low, and had a couple of pushes lower before they failed and went higher here. And but yeah, in the big scheme of things, this is just a two-tiered channel. This turns out to be a midline. Early on, this is um, your support line, but once we push through there and it holds as resistance, then it's going to be your midline. So um, just keep that in mind. But let me back out just a little bit here, and we'll talk about the trades. Um, this is your first trade I saw right around the 7 o'clock hour. It's a little failed break lower. We're not quite as far away from the EMA as I like on riding one of these back, but you got a channel coming down, trend. You get a close outside, move to a new low, and more than anything, you get a break below a double bottom with multiple tests, and this is the overnight lows. So the odds are you're going to snap back to that EMA. So if you want to be a little aggressive, I like that one. You're better off to wait on the higher low, which we don't get a break lower till way up here. So that's, even though that's a reversal pattern, and I like this one. If the signal bar was a little better here, I'd make this one blue, but it's not a very good signal bar, and you really don't get a break lower here before you go high. Look what happens. You push up, you try to go lower once, and you try to go lower twice, and then so this would be your you really got two legs in this first leg and then another leg up. So if you went to a different chart, you'd probably see a failed second entry short here. But on this chart, it's not. So, and I don't want to muddy the waters and confuse people. If that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. It's probably a little more advanced than what you want to be dealing with. But this is what a reversal pattern looks like. Even though we didn't break lower, it looks like one. And it's just not a very good signal bar. And really, though, in most cases, if it's a failed second entry short, then it doesn't really matter what the signal bar looks like. So you can take that into account. But I still think it's a little aggressive. It is right at the trend line. So, and this is a pretty nice trend. You figure we're going back to the other side now, especially with that bounce off the EMA. So if you want to be aggressive, excuse me, that one's there. So then we come up here and we make a double top. Notice you get a couple of closes outside. It's really hard to say. These are so close that, it's really hard to say if they're convincing. So, but by the time you get up here, you're definitely closing outside. You make a little double top in a very small bar, and look how long we've been away from the EMA, how far. We're probably coming back here. Since this is only like 2 ticks, I like just jumping in this one and trying to ride it back to the EMA. You do get a lower high here, but you got to go, and it went higher and goes out the other side, but it's right into the EMA, and we could get another bounce there. We do get another bounce, but it pushes through the EMA first. So I think you want to wait and see if you get something else, second entry or something, and notice what happens. You make a new low, first entry, second entry, and you get a nice bar here. And if you drew that trend line, I actually had it a little bit lower there. I brought it off that other high. This was the actually high before it turned down. So I had it drawn like that. And you can see it fits. It comes back into play down here, and it definitely fits off the lower side there. So I really treated this as the failed second entry long, and it's a second entry short, counting off the lows. A nice bearish bar. What I would do is use this as my signal bar, let it break lower, and then drop a limit order, maybe back up here where you originally would have gone below that bar, or maybe just a tick or so back into this bar, just to try to get a little better entry. Didn't matter either way, it takes off. This bar is just way too big. and now you're getting right into some previous lows here, so you got to be careful of that one. It does pull back and give you a little breakout pullback, but that's the first entry. A nice bearish bar, but I'm not going short right into all that support. And really, the very lows of the overnight are just right here, so you don't have a whole lot of room there anyway. Wait and see what happens if you get a failed break lower. Sure enough, you get this push down and you overshoot this channel, but at this point, everything's been below the EMA. This is a little double top, so you can consider that a higher low. So you might, I didn't mark that one, but you could probably consider that one on a failed break lower below the overnight lows. But there's no break, a real convincing break of this trend line. But we are a long way away from the EMA, so when it makes that higher low there, or basically a double bottom in this case, there is a little bit of room to ride that back. So you might want to be aggressive with that one, but I'm not crazy about it. Then notice we got a trend working back. Finally get a break. You actually get a second entry short right here, but it's right back into those to that support line, and it's actually closed and acts as support. So see if you just really need to sit tight here and see if you get a chance to either get long or see if maybe there's a better chance to get short. And guess what? It does pull back and turn down right there. Gives you a lower high. Everything's below the EMA. So you figure we're going to make a new low. That's a pretty nice trend down. We did get an overshoot here, so this one is really close to being green, but I still think it's good enough to take a short there. The better one is that when you get the failed second entry long here and this nice bullish bar. I would have liked it better if it would have broke. Actually, it did break higher there on my chart. It may not have yours, but yours may look a little different. But when it broke higher and turns and goes out the other side, I like going short there. You don't know that it's going to take off like that. You just figure you're going to get a scalp at the very minimum and a new low. But once it does start heading lower, that's my target right there. And if you get out a tick or so in front of that, you did pretty good there. So, and of course, this trend line comes back into play here. Without a trap of some kind, though, I'm not going short right here. We've already got a measured move down. We've already had a break and a big move down. We're still way away from the EMA. If anything, I'm looking to get long down here. I don't like this first one because you could get another leg down. Actually, this is another leg, but it could be multiple swings and another measured leg of some kind. So I think you got to skip that one and wait on the higher low, which comes here, but that's just too bearish. And by the time you get a failed second entry short, you're way back up here and you got a trend line in play. And so I just don't see it. You're just kind of going sideways here. Even though you're still making higher highs and higher lows, this is still an uptrend, but there's a lot of overlap and stuff there. So you get the close outside, move to a new high. That bar is way too big. And you really don't get a lower high until right here. And that's a really big bar, real close to here again, down here. But this is a valid trend line, it looks like. So you might consider that one. It's a little risky in my opinion. It would have worked, but you would have had to kind of go sideways here and ride out some of this. What you might do is let it break lower here below this one and drop a limit order back up in here to get a little, and you could have gotten filled all the way back maybe 2 or 3 ticks into that bar, and then you get a lot better entry and you get out without having to ride out all those corrections and stuff. But honestly, that late in the day, I think you're better off just skip that trade. Especially once we're coming off the low, because generally you're headed back to the high, but you do have a closeout here to a new high, and now you're making lower lows and lower highs. So you got to figure we're coming back down here to try to test this low again, which we did before we bounced it higher again. So not a lot of trades today, even though we had some movement. This was really the highlight of the day, this trend coming down. And so there just weren't a lot of easy to see setups because of this is a range, and there were some setups here to get short, but they just were not perfect, and a lot of these failed break lowers were not perfect setups either. So uh, really on a range day, most of the time you're going to sell off the highs and either buy off the lows, which later on that was down here. So um, and this one was real tempting. I can't remember if I talked about it or not, being that far away from the EMA, but um, you need to wait on that higher low. So, and your signal bar is just not very good on that higher low, and everything's still closing inside that channel. So you never know that you're not going to get a couple more pushes down and get another leg down. So you just have to skip that one. But yeah, not a lot of trades today. Even though we had some movement, there weren't a lot of trades. And then it just kind of died in the afternoon. I mean, there's just not much here this last from lunchtime on. So, but anyway, not much else I can say about today. So I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow, but I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.